What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and today I have one of the most hyped up decks of the format to go ahead and showcase you. This is Vanquish Soul, one of the newest, I guess, Rogue, Tier 2. It's not really sure where it falls yet in the format. It's a really cool deck, kind of a unique mechanic, an additional take on maybe Mech Knights to an even higher level, using stuff from hand, from field, column placement. It's a very unique way to play the deck and a very hard way to kind of play around. It's really cool. I wanted to showcase it. I'm not sure how much long-term meta impact it will have. I know it's had a couple national tops already, as well as quite a few regional tops and starting to creep up into people's radar. So before we hop into it, I want to shout out all of our new public subs of the channel: Raul, Davis, Rafflesia, Jose, Jonathan, and Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Thank you all so much for joining the channel. It means a lot. If you would like to be included in the next sub shout out, make sure your subscriptions are public when you subscribe to the channel. Also, liking, commenting, all that type of engagement really does help the algorithm and does help the channel quite a bit. But with all that said, we'll go ahead and hop right into the deck profile. For the main deck, starting with the Vanquish Soul package, and then moving from there, we have triple Vanquish Soul Ryzen, probably the best starter in the deck. Strongest normal summon. All of the Vanquish Souls have a couple different effects. The little ones, typically mainly Ryzen and Mad Love, are your best starters. They trigger on normal or special summon, and then also have quick effects by revealing significant amount of attributes in your hand to then yield another effect. I'll only showcase the probably most relevant and or at least most impactful effects. Ryzen adds any Vanquish Soul monster from your deck to your hand on summon, and then can pop all other monsters in this card's column. That includes your own stuff, so just make sure you're not putting it under rock, basically. Still a really powerful card, and is a fire, of course, that you reveal for your attributes. And then 3 Mad Love, probably the second best starter of the deck. Basically, on summon, again, adds any Vanquish Soul spell or trap from deck to hand. And then relevant effects are it can compulse, basically, the monster on the field with the lowest defense. So, again, another form of interruption. After that, we get into some of the bigger names for a little bit here. Triple of the Heavy Borgur. This guy right here is really cool. All the bigger Vanquish Souls have the quick effect that you can target a Vanquish Soul that is not it, essentially a different one. Bounce that name back to your hand and special itself. So this deck dodges Imperms, Veilers, Ogres, all that kind of stuff really, really well. Plays around hand traps, can play under unique floodgates, like there can be only one, and skill drain. Just has a lot of different neat interactions. This one has 2 relevant reveal effects. You can either burn for 15, or you can essentially draw 1 card. So this is Heat Soul every single turn for free, allowing you to dodge hand traps. After that, we play 2 Valius. I really do like this one. This is the Earth. This is the biggest boss monster of the deck. It can either make itself unaffected by card effects for the turn, or it can pop a card on the field for your opponent's side that is non-targeting. So really powerful, and also has the quick effect to bounce 1 to then special summon itself. And then the last one is 1 Pantera. This is the MST of the deck, and also has the quick effect that if you don't have anything in your main monster zone, you can special it. So in a worst case scenario, if you need another way to put a body on board to make rock and to keep extending, this is what you go to. Doesn't really do a ton on its own, so you really only play 1. After that is triple of Stake Your Soul. The E-Telly of the deck, you essentially reveal an attribute in your hand and special summon a Vanquish Soul from your deck with that shared attribute. Kurikara being fire as an example, the Bestials is dark, Fenrir is earth. You get the idea. Whatever you want, this really takes you to it. And then for the last of the Vanquish Soul package, we are on 1 Dust Devil, 1 Continue, and 1 Trinity Burst. I'll talk about each of these. Dust Devil is essentially a Book of Moon. You target a Vanquish Soul on your board, switch its battle position, and if you do, you can book monsters on your opponent's board up to the number of different Vanquish Soul monsters you have on field. So this is like usually anywhere from a 2 to 3 Book of Moon, basically a Book of Eclipse out of nowhere, which is really, really cool. Continue is paying 500, and you can just reborn a Vanquish Soul monster from your graveyard, which is really, really powerful, or you can just add it to your hand. This is just like a great extender. It lets you be a little bit more greedy. If they, negate the rock or something like that, you have follow up through Continue. And then Trinity Burst is not as commonly played, but I think one of it is really cool. It's extremely powerful, and it's basically your way to non-targeting out any card on the field. Basically, you essentially target a Vanquish Soul on your field, special up to 2 more from your hand that are different attributes and different names. And then you bounce cards in your opponent's columns up to where the one is that you targeted, as well as the other 2. So if you targeted a Vanquish Soul here and special 2 more, then you could bounce all the stuff in those 3 columns respectively. So it's a really powerful card. I still like it at 1. From there, we'll go ahead and talk about, I guess, just the consistency cards and kind of the rest of the deck, just all non-engine. You have a lot of freedom in how you can build this non-engine. Mine's a little bit different with some stuff I'm experimenting with. But of course, the 3 obligatory prosperity. This can be any consistency card of your choice, or in addition to this, Durendal, cards like Small World have been explored as well. I think if you can only fit one in, prosperity truly does the most, because this deck does not really need its extra deck all that much. And then 1 Rhoda, obviously, to get the Ryzen, and 1 Called by the Grave. This is perfectly fine where I'm at here. I really do like this ratio. For whatever reason, I don't have much good luck with winning the die roll, but I have a lot of good luck with opening Ryzen, so I'm not as worried about seeing that card as much. For hand traps, we are on triple Ash Blossom. This is pretty much mandatory in the deck, solely because, again, it's one of the better hand traps right now in the format, stopping cards like Branded Fusion, like Nadir Servant, that lead into the Gimmick Puppet Lock, as well as just the fact that, again, it's a fire, which is really good. 3 Droll. You could argue this card is slowly phasing its way out of the format. I truly don't see it, at least in my local area. There's like so many decks that do a lot of searching. There's a ton of Sprite variants. There's also some Vanquish Soul. There's a lot of Math Mech still that people are trying to experiment with and make work. Droll is still a really powerful card, as well as some Bestial Dragon Link. After that, we are on a smaller Kashtira package. I think this is probably about as standard as you can get. Double Fenrir and 1 Rise Heart, or some people just run triple Fenrir and no Rise Heart. You could also play a bigger cash package. I like experimenting with that to make it more of a 50-50 between cash and Vanquish Soul. But at that point, I think you're probably better off just playing pure Kashtira. But overall, again, good spot removal, good extension, as well as just the necessary attribute you need in terms of earth or fire. After that, we are on double Kurikara. I think 2 is fine. 3 can be a little bit cloggy and a little bit bricky, especially if you end up going first. You could build this as a going second build. I think that's perfectly reasonable, but I'm fine with 2 for now. And then the package that I'm doing that's a little bit different. Not many people, I think, have been talking about this yet, but I am a really big fan of it. Shout out to my boy Garrett for hooking me up with some of this stuff that I did not have lying around. That is the Dogmatika package. We're on triple Nadir Servant. I'll talk a little bit about this first. This is just a really powerful card. Your opponent is dedicating so much resources into the Vanquish Souls, because if you get your resource loop online, it's basically already over from there. They can't do anything to outgrind you. So having a card where they waste like, you know, maybe 2, even 3 interruptions on you to then still like get you 2 to 3 interruptions off a card like Nadir Servant, as well as Presence and Follow Up, is nice. If you don't open Prosperity, dumping Garua to draw 1, searching Ecclesia, and then searching Punishment, and then searching Floor is absolutely wild. This card really does quite a bit, especially in mediocre hands. If you just turbo out Rock and you don't have much else, this really does carry quite a lot of weight. To go with that, we have the 1 Ecclesia, the 1 Floor, and the 1 Punishment. You don't have to like play this engine. I just am a big fan of it. I really do like it. I think if you really want to cut this, you can, but I'm almost considering just keeping Punishment in general. Certain cards like that have a lot of presence. I think this deck can also pair really well with certain back row decks. Like if you want to try a control variant with skill drains and a bunch of floodgates like Eldritch or, you know, Labyrinth, that kind of thing. But this deck really has a lot of room to play and test whatever you want. This is what I'm a fan of right now. So that's for the main deck. Like I said, a clean 40 cards. We'll go ahead and talk about the extra deck. The extra deck is truly open to anything you could imagine. The only card that is absolutely necessary is 3 Rock of the Vanquisher. This is the new Link 1. Obviously, yes, the deck is broken because it has a Link 1 that points down. That's really all you need. But it has 2 amazing effects, actually 3 technically. During the main phase quick effect, you can take a Vanquish Soul either from your grave and add it to your hand, or from your hand and special it to your field. So you can just literally do whatever you want, whenever you want. And the other continuous effect is if you have a Vanquish Soul on board, your opponent has to attack the thing with the highest attack first. So it kind of protects itself as well, which is really, really nice. Does so much for the deck. The rest of it is truly just different targets for random extra deck stuff and utility that you can use. 1 access code, 1 Phoenix, 1 Cerberus, 1 Unicorn, all pretty straightforward there, as well as 1 IP. Again, depending on however you want to do this, it can just truly be whatever you want. After that, a little bit for the Dogmatika stuff, 1 Garura, 1 Titaniclad, and 1 Entis. These are the primary targets. The pop, adding a Floor, as well as the draw 1 and searching Ecclesia. 1 Bucephalus. This is also just kind of the last Dogmatika punishment target, just because it's big. 35 really helps out a lot of things, and can dump the Garura to draw you an extra card as well. One Donner, generic random spot removal or niche situations, and then of course the mandatory because we have a good amount of 4s in the deck, one Baguska and one Zeus. That's it for the extra deck. And then I'll talk a little bit about the side deck. I think this is probably the weakest point of my build currently that I'm still just trying to explore and trying to figure out, but I'll still talk a little bit about it nevertheless. Starting off with the floodgates, 3, there can be only 1. You could argue this is mained, but like I said, my chances and my luck with winning die rolls have been pretty bad recently. So I don't really like drawing this as my 6th card or even going second. It just feels like a dead card. Yes, I know it can kind of be used to break boards, but it's just not where I want it to be. So just siding it is fine. And then the other floodgate of choice is 3 summon limit. You don't really summon quite a lot after you've already got your resource loop online. You can play skill drain. The only problem is if you don't have a way to continue looping cards like Borger and Valius, you've kind of locked yourself out of the game. Skill drain's really only good once you've established a good board. So you can try it, but I think more often than not, it's kind of risky to play that card. And then afterwards, again, Bystials are slowly creeping their way back in the format. They're good in this deck because these are all darks, as well as Valius is a dragon, which can be searched off Magnamut, so not much to say there. And then the other inline hand trap is just triple Ghost Bell. Again, an Earth and a semi-decent hand trap in the format. And then the last card, just to respect some back row decks, is triple Cosmic Cyclone. And maybe more so for anti-spell for this deck does really depend on cards like Stake Your Soul and Prosperity to get your engine going. But that's it for the main deck, extra deck, and side deck. That is my take on Vanquish Soul. I really like experimenting with it. I think this deck is open to so much right now. Let me know in the comments if you have this, what variants you're playing, what you like, what you don't like, what hand traps you prefer, what engines you're testing, all that good stuff. But with all that said, I'll see you all in the next one. Later.